Today is Thanksgiving morning, and for main course, we're going to be making prime rib. This recipe is a lot easier than you think. All it involves is math. Yes, math. So stay tuned and I'll show you an easy way of making it. So the ingredients we're going to need for this dish are our rib roast. I prefer the bone-in one. For seasoning, we're going to need some salt, pepper, garlic powder, and the key ingredients, rosemary and thyme. First thing we're going to do is 2 hours prior to cooking, make sure you leave out the rib roast in room temperature 2 hours prior to cooking. After leaving our meat outside, what we're going to do now is remove the bone from the meat, or the ribs from the meat. So with a sharp knife, carefully just cut along the bones, or along the ribs. If you don't know how to do this, you can ask your butcher to do it for you, or you can buy the boneless ones. But for me, I think this is more, it's better having the bone-in one because you can do a lot of stuff with it. So just carefully cut along the ribs. So we got them all split up. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna season between the ribs and the meat, because we're not gonna get rid of this. What we're gonna do is season between them and place it back so they both can roast and cook at the same time. But by doing this, it adds flavor in the meat and on the ribs. So we're gonna season heavily first. First thing we're gonna put in is the salt. Pepper, garlic powder, thyme, and rosemary. Now we're going to place it back together, and we're going to tie it together using a kitchen twine. So after seasoning the meat, between the meat and the ribs, we're going to tie them together. So it doesn't have to be fancy, you just need to, the goal here is to hold the meat and the ribs together. Just like that. Now what we're going to do next is season the rest of the meat. Now keep in mind, the only piece you're going to eat in here, mostly the inner part. So what we need to do is we need to heavily season the outer part. It might look a lot, it might be very salty, but keep in mind, you're only eating a small piece of the outer part, while the rest of the meat has no flavor. It's just the beef flavor. So again, season heavily, first with salt, garlic powder, pepper, thyme, and rosemary. Rosemary is the main part of this seasoning. Now flip in the other side and season the other side. Since this is the ribs and you know there's very little meat in here, try not to over season it because you already got a lot of seasoning from the other side. So not a lot, but when you get to this part, make sure you do the same, which is seasoned with a lot of seasoning. Make sure you also season the side. And just like that, this is ready for roasting. Now we're ready to roast our beef. If you have a probe or a thermometer, I would highly suggest using that so you can get an accurate measurement or an accurate reading. The goal here was trying to get the meat into 140 degrees internal temperature for rare to medium rare. Now what we're gonna do is set our oven to bake as high as it can get. So I set mine for 550. We're gonna preheat the oven. And here's the trick. We're gonna be using math on this cooking method. This is an 8-pound rib roast. What you need to do is you multiply that weight and that will give you the exact time on how high or how long you're gonna keep that beef inside that high temperature. Since this is an 8-pound meat, we're gonna cook this for 40 minutes in high heat. Once that's done, you turn off the heat and let it sit there for 2 hours, uninterrupted. Do not open the oven. That is the key of fully cooking it internally. This is as simple as it can get. So again, it's the weight of the meat, multiply it by 5. That will give you the cooking time you will need to cook it under a high heat. So again, it's an 8-pound meat. We're gonna cook it for 40 minutes. After that, we're just gonna leave it in the oven, turn off the heat, and let it finish for 2 hours uninterrupted. So right now, let's just wait for our oven to heat up. Now our oven is preheated. Quickly place in your ribs. Quickly place in your beef. Close it. And set your timer for 40 minutes. So once that 40 minutes is done, we're just gonna turn off the heat. And again, just leave it in there for 2 hours undisturbed. Meaning no one opens the oven so to let the heat out to fully cook that meat internally. All right, our prime rib should be done. Let's pull it out. Look at that. That is perfect. Okay, so traditionally, when it comes to the oven, you usually rest the meat. But since this has been resting in the oven for 2 hours, we don't need to do that. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna remove the ties. This should be at about rare to medium rare doneness. So if you want it a little more on the well side, just leave it in there longer. Also, this is for the prime rib. As far as the ribs or the bones, that is not quite done yet. You're gonna have to put that back in the oven, air fryer, or anything, and then cook it for a little bit more because it's still on the rare side. See, look at that. So I can just eat this like this, but you can put this back in the oven. Again, you're looking for internal temperature for about 130 to get that medium rare. So let's take a look. That is beautiful. So this is what you're looking for. This is perfect. The way it looks, the doneness. I mean, as long as you know your math, you can do this perfectly. Again, multiply the weight by 5, and you're gonna be cooking that in high heat, the highest your oven can cook it. And then once that time is done, turn off the heat and just keep it in there and rest for 2 hours undisturbed. I mean, do not open the oven up, and it always comes out perfect. I mean, I have not ruined a prime rib ever since I've been doing it this way. So there's no point in going to any restaurant because you can easily do this your own, and you get to pick whatever seasoning you want on it. So this is done. I would usually eat this with some rice and horseradish. Yeah, so this is our main course, and I'm still not done cooking for Thanksgiving, so I'm gonna be making another side dish. I hope you enjoyed today's recipe, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.